Good morning and welcome to the news on New Day. We come to you live from the John Hammond Street at Kanda here in Accra. My name is Judith Brown. And the headlines this morning. Minority in Parliament declares Governor of Bank of Ghana, Ernest Addison, persona non grata. Also this morning, pre-tertiary teacher unions warn government to address their conditions of service to prevent more teachers from leaving the country for better opportunities. And 1.4 million children aged 4 to 7 are not attending school in Ghana, according to the latest report by Africa Education Watch. Well, on the international front, France says it will begin withdrawing its troops from Niger as early as this week. Details of these stories and many more coming up shortly. Please do stay with us. In our first story, an opinion poll by Global Info Analytics for the month of October shows the president's job approval taking a nosedive after making a recovery in the July poll. Only 34% of Ghanaians approve of his performance as president, while 66% disapprove. 70% of voters believe the country is headed in the wrong direction. Now, the poll also shows that 47% of voters believe their standard of living has worsened in the last 12 months. On policing, 61% of the respondents expressed confidence in the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu Dampare, and approved of the way he is performing in his job. However, only 49% of the voters have confidence in the Ghana Police Service to manage the 2024 election, while 37% have no confidence. Now, on the part of the Electoral Commission, 50% of voters say they have confidence in the elections management body. 39% have no confidence in the electoral body. Now, for the 2024 general election, the poll shows John Mahama leading with 48.3%, Dr. Bawumia with 28.0%, and Alan Kojo Tremanting with 11.3%. Well, in our next story, Governor of the Bank of Ghana could face a challenge in tax in addressing Parliament as the minority has declared him persona non grata. Dr. Ernest Addison, after failing to meet protesters of the Occupy Bank of Ghana demonstration on Tuesday, will take their petition, described the protests as unnecessary. He is reported to have further described the actions of the minority-led protests as hooliganism.
The central bank boss is resolute. The calls for his resignation and that of his deputies are unjust and needless. Speaking to international business news portal Central Banking's reporter Ben Margulis, Governor Addison said the minority have many channels for their grievances in a civilized society, not through demonstrations on the streets as hooligans. This has infuriated the NDC MPs.
His appointers, that is the president and the current finance minister, have on several occasions used peaceful protests, in fact sometimes violent protests, as means of registering their views.
The portrait of the governor, who only detailed his security, had to receive the petition by the civil society organizations, the minority and other parties, appears to have drawn the battle line.
He can sit in his ivory tower and speak quite loosely, feeling that, of course, the appointing authority is an accomplice, so he's not going to be sacked. But the day of reckoning is coming. As for us in Parliament, as far as we are concerned, he's a persona non grata currently, and we shall treat him like that. He wants us to be, he described us as hooligans. We shall show him who hooligans are.
A fire-for-fire situation currently between the organizers of the demonstration and the central bank. What impact could this possibly have on the bank?
So it is just decent, it's just normal to resign. Particularly so when you are even cushioned. We're saying that, look, you have failed, and then you insult us as hooligans.
Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Accra.
Now, still on this issue, an associate professor of the Department of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Lord Mensah, has criticized the statement issued by the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Ernest Addison. Now, Professor Mensah contends that the governor's statement reflects a lack of respect for both Ghanaians and the nation's parliament.
I must appreciate what parliament stands for. We are looking at parliament that has, splitted, 50-50. So if you get 50% of it, of that, portion of parliament walking to the central bank to, present a petition, it tells you that majority of Ghanaians are on the street. I think he is looking at them from the perspective of being a political party. But I can tell you that the march is on behalf of, Ghanaians. It's on behalf of a Ghanaian taxpayer. Whose taxes are being used to, decorate the governor's office and he himself, possibly, the salaries that he's been enjoying. Now, having witnessed this march is more or less a signal of an erosion of public trust that the central bank governor has lost in the eyes of the people. How did we get here? We got here because of, mismanagement of the economy, seeing inflation around 54%, which, has taken us back in the 30 years. The last time we record that type of inflation was somewhere in the 90s, right? So effectively, his statement that the minority were more or less behaving like hooligans and therefore he wasn't ready to receive their petition tells you the kind of value that he places on Ghanaians when he's taking decision on our behalf. And I believe his reputation, both locally and internationally, is at hand now as we speak. So from where I sit, I think the response that came from him wasn't necessary as well. If for nothing at all, he should accept what has been done to this economy. Because I always say that until we accept the depth of this economic quagmire, there's no way we'll be able to solve the problem. We are thinking that going to IMF is a solution, but going to IMF is not a solution. We may have to deduce how we got to this place and how we can come out from it.
Let's do some stories on education now. And 1.4 million children aged 4 to 7 in the country are not attending school, with nearly 1 million out of the 1.2 million figure never attending, according to the latest report by Africa Education Watch. Now, Executive Director of the education think tank, Kofi Asare, advocates for increased government investment in basic education to reduce numbers and make learning and teaching more attractive.
According to the Equitable Access to Public Education report, an analysis of the growth of schools data reveals the number of public schools increased from 36,822 in 2010 to 42,010 in 2020, an increase of about 14%. Whereas over the same period, private schools, which numbered 18,380 in 2010, increased to 39,070 in 2020, recording an increase of about 112%. A Development Africa Education Watch says hinders Ghana's achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal 4.
In Adenta, for instance, in the past 4 years, we've been able to build only 2 primary schools. If you have a municipality where over 90% of basic schools belong to private owners, it limits the ability of the urban poor to have access to basic education, which is free.
The education think tank is advocating for a significant increase in government investment in basic education, arguing that the national budget should be increased from 13.1% to 15%.
And the entire, citizenry to have a conversation around innovative ways of supporting district assemblies to live up to the mandate of providing basic schools so that the poor, urban or rural, will be able to access basic education.
Meanwhile, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, is requesting government to improve on the economic conditions of the country or risk more teachers emigrating.
For the teachers we need, for the education we want, the global imperative towards reversing or to reverse the teacher shortage. There are three main things we need to look out for. Currently, the teaching and learning environment in the public schools is not something to write home about. When you go into a typical public school today, some of the students sit in large numbers, some sit in threes, among others. Some even have no furniture. We have challenges with infrastructure, among other things. The other thing that we need to address is the issue of providing the tools and equipment, the TLMs, among other related materials for teaching and learning. The issue of the condition of teachers. On this particular day, let us remember, the teacher's right is also a human right. Every teacher should be able to retire into a 2-bedroom house, at least minimum. We must do whatever we can do so that the teacher should be able to take care of his basic necessities. On this day, teachers, I salute you. I say congratulations. Today is our day, and we will never, ever give up until what we deserve is given to us.
Now, still on education, teacher trainees at the Accra College of Education have expressed disappointment over the departure of 10,000 licensed teachers for overseas employment. They expect government to recognize teachers and enhance their conditions of service to reduce brain drain in the sector.
We are told that 10,000 trained teachers have left the country to the United Kingdom for employment.
If there is anything the government can do, be it the conditions of service or anything at all they can do to help teachers appreciate the work they do, I think it will be helpful enough.
Looking at the economy right now, it's not favorable to them. Looking at their allowance and the salary which is coming, comparing it to their rent and their eating and their feeding, even taking care of the whole family.
These are very people that the government has invested money on to go under training and then come back and train the little ones in the basic schools and then even at the senior high levels. We would have to stay, but then I also believe that the government has to look at investing more on the teachers in the country, because they are the very people who bring every profession into being in the country.
It should be a wake-up call to us as a country, because it's telling us that the ratio, teacher to student ratio is going to reduce, and that we are going to have more students in the classroom without teachers.
I will stay, since I believe in developing the country ourselves. It is somebody who has developed that place. That is why they are leaving to those places.
It is clear that these trainee teachers may want to stay in the country and offer their services to the nation. But if the conditions for teachers are not improved, they might also want to travel outside to seek greener pastures. Evelyn Tinkma, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's head to Kumasi now, and some trainee teachers, even before completing school, are planning to leave the shores of Ghana and render their teaching services abroad. They cited poor conditions of service for teachers and disrespect for the teaching profession as a driving factor. Ibrahim Abubakar has more in the following report.
Priscilla, a 23-year-old teacher, is seeking a recommendation letter from St. Louis College of Education in Kumasi to help her travel abroad after completing her licentiate exams. She believes the teaching profession in Ghana is not respected.
In our country, Ghana, they devalue teachers. When I travel to other countries, though, they put value on teachers, so they will increase my salary. So why should I stay in Ghana? I have to leave the country for a better space.
Ghana is grappling with a teacher shortage, but most trained teachers are planning to relocate abroad for better conditions of service. Firdaus, a second-year teacher trainee, plans to leave Ghana after graduation due to the unenticing and discouraging conditions of service.
If I have any chance, then I'm going. There are lots of students in Ghana, A lot of students. Some are even completing without getting jobs. So me leaving is not going to make anything fall short. There are a lot of students.
The high attrition rate in Ghana's education sector is a significant threat to the nation's education and development, as most teachers are forced to leave due to the high cost of living and meager salaries.
It's very, very worrying in the sense that you use the nation's resources to train teachers who are supposed to come and educate our youth and our children for us. And then it ends up that they just leave the country for greener pastures. And so one, it means that we are losing resources. And then again, you see, it's not about, someone will say that when they leave, others will come. But experience also matters. So if the conditions of living are not improved, obviously people will leave.
The education sector faces a potential increase in teachers leaving the country unless government improves the service conditions of teachers. Well, for most of these teacher trainees, they even have plans of leaving the country should opportunity present itself, even before they complete their education, because for them, the teacher is not respected in the country due to low remuneration. They expect to move to where their services would be appreciated. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
Now, on the international front, France says it will begin withdrawing its troops from Niger as early as this week. There was a diplomatic fallout between the two countries following a coup in the West African country 2 months ago. Now, France refused to acknowledge a new military government in its former colony, leading to protests in the capital, Niamey. Now, after refusing to leave for months, France now seems keen to send the message that it wants to get out of Niger as swiftly as possible. More than 400 soldiers stationed near the border with Mali will be the first to leave. Now, another 1,000 troops are in a military base in Niamey, where protesters have been camped out for weeks demanding their departure, saying they failed to stop attacks by Islamist insurgents. And that's all for the 6 a.m. news here on TV3. My name is Judith Brown. And of course, Roland and Cookie are with me in the studio with the rest of New Day. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How
Mrs.
are you?
Brown?
I'm great. And you?
Yeah, I'm okay.
You're looking very good today anyways.
Oh, did you say today or always?
Always, always,
okay.
But today is like exceptional.
Okay, we thank
I
you.
love
You
your
look good
dress,
in your
Cookie.
dashiki as well. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
have yourself a great day.
You too.
Or you have questions for her?
No.
Nothing at all?
Yeah.
Oh, you're sure?
Rolanda's relaxed.
You're very
for me.
sure?
I'm more than sure.
Okay, all right. We'll let you go then.
Judith, have a great day. Yeah?
You too.
All right.
You too.
We're back. And certainly we have to make sure that we tend to look at what we have for the morning. And we say all of you, thank you for joining us for the rest of the show. Of course, after the news, we have to concentrate on other equally important matters. And so we do encourage you, always get to our socials, TV3 Ghana, always available for you. And always let us know what you think about what we tend to post. So this morning, we'll be looking at the segment and then also having an interaction. But as always, I'm looking forward to the finale of Ghana's Most Beautiful. And yours truly is right here. She's the madam for the show. She's the